Leslie D. Rose is a Jersey-born, Xavier-educated, we don't hold that against you, by the way, veteran journalist, editor, photographer, and poet. While Leslie works across the communications industry in various forms, her role as a culture and advocacy journalist has allowed her to focus on social and criminal justice issues, music, celebrity, and health and wellness. A few of her notable interviews include Mariah Carey, Representative Maxine Waters, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tarana Burke, Allison Felix, and Erica Alexander, among others. She's been everything from a city newspaper aide to a community newspaper editor, with bylines ranging across local magazines and newspapers to digital media outlets like MTV, MSN, and Madame Noir. She previously served as an editor, feature writer, and on-air personality at Blavity News. Leslie has also been featured on All That Poetry and has 4 research papers in the St. James Encyclopedia of Hip-Hop Culture, first edition, 2018, Yale St. James Press. Let's please warmly welcome our moderator, Leslie D. Rose.
Thank you, and thank you for not holding my being a Xavier right against me. So thank you all for hanging out with us today. We have had an amazing day of panel discussions. We've talked about the music business. We've talked about the legalities of everything. And now we're going to kind of sum it all up. So I want to introduce you to our panelists, and I'll start from here to here because you see there's an empty chair here, but there will be someone sitting there shortly. So Eric Nilsson is a professor of liberal arts at the University of Richmond. He writes regularly for outlets such as the New York Times, Washington Post, The Atlantic, and Rolling Stone. He has been a lead author on 3 amicus briefs for the U.S. Supreme Court, which included support from artists such as Killer Mike, Chance the Rapper, Meek Mill, T.I., Big Boy, and Luther Campbell, and has frequently testified as an expert witness in cases involving rap lyrics as evidence in criminal cases. His most recent book, Rap on Trial, Race, Lyrics, and Guilt in America, co-authored with Andrea L. Dennis, was a finalist for the Library of Virginia Literary Awards and winner of the Hugh M. Hefner Foundation's First Amendment Award. Then next to Eric, we have Mac Phipps, a son of the city. Rapper and songwriter from New Orleans, Louisiana, he is best known for his work with No Limit Records. His 1998 album, Shell Shocked, reached number 11 on the U.S. Billboard 200 and number 4 on the top R&B hip-hop charts. In 2001, he was wrongfully convicted of manslaughter after a man was shot and killed at one of his shows. At trial, his lyrics were used as evidence against him by the prosecution. During his incarceration, he continued to write music, helped young men develop coping skills for anger and depression, and was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award for his service to fellow inmates. After he filed multiple applications for clemency and his case was investigated and covered by the Medill Justice Project at Northwestern University and national media outlets, Phipps's appeal for clemency was granted, and he was released from prison in 2021 after serving 21 years. Presently, he is still seeking full exoneration, mentoring youth, and writing music. He also released a new album yesterday. And not just because I was not giving a full bio on him, but because he does not need one. Please join me in welcoming our final panelist, Michael Killer Mike Render. Okay, guys. So what I want to do here is a little bit different than what we've done all day. And we're not going to be interrogating each other or anything like that. If you missed it, we had a great time today. We're really going to sit here in conversation with each other and talk about this issue at hand. We have here 4 hip-hop heads, 2 of which are also rappers, and 1 is kind of a little bit of a closet MC who won't let us see his rhyme book.
About this.
I love that you mentioned, Killer Mike. When you were coming up with your rap name and you were a younger guy, did it even cross your mind that it was a potential that could be ever held against you?
I did not sit.
Oh, your mic isn't on. There we go.
I didn't sit I did not sit in my grandmother's living room and decide to name myself Killer Mike. I would have been Handsome Mike, Fly Guy Mike, Cool Chubby Guy Mike, but now I earned my name in a rap battle. Kids from New York moved down south, and it was a conglomerate of kids from New York and other northern places who were bullying the rap battle scene. And my big homies tore their ass up, just to be honest. And then when my big homies didn't come no more, they were like, we didn't have to do that. And they knew my partners weren't coming one night, and they just went in. They went, oh, you're like, man, these guys, they got tough on the microphone. And I was a kid, and I just battled them and beat them. And this guy named Double D, he said, man, this kid, y'all shut up, this kid's a killer. Everybody was scared of Double D because he was like he played football. And after that, no one called me my nickname, which was Skunk. Everybody just called me Killer after that. So that's how I came. I didn't come up with Killer Mike. I earned the name. So I would have been Handsome Mike, or Fly Guy Mike, or Sir Fresh. Sir Fresh. That was my 4th grade rap name, Sir Fresh.
Oh, wow. Okay, I love Sir Fresh. I need to get like an alter. Yeah. We need like a Humpty Hump alter ego out from you.
I ain't gonna learn on these Nikes. I took y'all serious.
And it's a conversation that we had before. Did being incarcerated based on your lyrics change how you felt about those songs when you were released from prison? Were you afraid to perform?
What, the songs from earlier in my career?
Yes.
No, I actually went on tour with No Limit and was performing those songs. Now, just to be, I guess, facetious in my own little way, I got the crowd to sing the Murder, Murder, Kill, Kill part rather than me. And I was like, I didn't say it.
But I'm not gonna say it.
I didn't say it. But I mean, I think, as I mentioned earlier, there were things that I've said in my song that I'm like, man. But that was only because I didn't want my mama to hear some of the stuff that I said. Every time my mama listened to my music, it just made me cringe because I didn't, I'm 45 years old and I still don't cuss in front of my mom. So, I cuss in front of my dad, but not mine. So it was just different from that perspective. And I'm proud of every song that I've ever released. I'm definitely grateful for the support that I received and for the recognition that it got me. But I think the change in my music only came with the change in who I am as a person. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a grandfather. I mean, just things are different. My whole perspective on life is different. So I think with that comes a change, a natural change in the music.
I hadn't had a chance to check out the new album yet, but in Eric's words, do you have any swears on there?
Yeah, I think I might have cursed once.
I'm from New England, that's what
once or twice. Yeah, I think I may have said once or twice. I may have said a couple of.
Yeah, I love that you censor yourself for the babies and for your mother, but understand that there's not a need for censorship in the music overall.
No, there's definitely. I don't think anyone should censor anything. I just as an adult, I feel a responsibility now at a certain age to present myself in a certain way because I do know that. I mean, I have younger people in my life that's paying attention. And I definitely don't want to be one of those hypocritical people that's like, boy, you shouldn't be smoking. So, nah.
It was.
I think I know who I want to talk to this about. You say whatever you want to say, and you move without the fear, right? Again, we're going back to the name. You have the name Killer Mike. You have the statue.
Well, my wife is here, so I don't get to say whatever I want to say. I do have a certain amount of trepidation and fear.
Shout out to Shay.
Yeah.
So you don't get to say whatever you want to say. You got
most of what I want to say.
But you really move with honesty and how you feel in your music.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about that. And why do you feel, even though you know that it's criminalized and that even in your stature, people are already looking at you a particular way, why do you feel that it's important for you to still stand how you want to stand?
I mean, why did Zora Neale Hurston feel compelled to write of mules and men and write it how Southern people talk? And she got castigated for that and thrown to the side. Like, I've had a solid career. I've been blessed, but I haven't had a lot of times the career I deserve because, damn, you're like, you're too intelligent. What are you doing this for? Because I'm from my community, and I represent every part of that community. But I'll say that at some point in the 80s and 90s, kids understood this is theater, that these people are representing this. And I think the law understood and understands this. But by criminalizing and saying to people fearfully, this theater is real, what we've done is created another environment that was right at the beginning of the crack epidemic. I can remember when the black community started calling for black boys to be locked up because they didn't understand their community was being flooded with drugs to fund an illegal war and flooded with guns in places like California to make that war more violent and more profitable for a private prison system that was rolling out. And I think that what we've done is, as a community, we have not policed ourselves and just saying, we know that this, even though real things happen with just young men, any poor, I don't care if in Ireland, Scotland, the UK, poor boys are fighting. In the UK, it's with knives, in America, it's with guns. You know, depending on where you are, the weapons change. But poor boys are fighting. But rather than combat poverty, it's easier for a prosecutor who wants to accelerate up quickly to a political system to crucify and to put at the edges of the town that this is what happens when you commit crime. And it's very easy to do what looks like to me a public hanging when you have poor boys who are rhyming violent things. Now, every culture produces poor boys having poetry about violent things. There are songs of war. If you listen to, everybody ever listen to the national anthem? By the time it gets to that second verse, oh, we killing shit. Same as with poor boys in the hood. You can't control your environment, but you can control a lot of times is what you want when you're older. Lifestyles are rich and famous, fed our dreams, MTV Cribs, fed our kids' dreams, and now you just go online and people are going in front of Mercedes dealerships acting like this is. We're finding ways to lie. But I think that that poverty is harder to attack and fix, and miseducation is harder to attack and fix. And I think that essentially it's a scalping we're watching going on because it's easy to convict black boys for things that sound violent because there's to me, an economic incentive to do that with private businesses, things of that nature.
So, coming more or less on stage, everyone out here in this audience, that we have this inherent understanding that everything in a rap song is not true, then would we say that this is a racially motivated thing to criminalize black men?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. Not only are the vast majority of young men in this situation either black or Latino, and I mean almost exclusively, maybe a handful of examples otherwise. But we also have all kinds of research that sort of explains to us that this really is racially motivated. I'll give one quick example. Back in 1999, a social psychologist named Carrie Freed devised an experiment, and what she did was she took some violent lyrics from like a folk song, okay, and she stripped the lyrics of any identifying information. That didn't say the name of the group, didn't say the name of the genre, just some violent lyrics on a page. Then she divided her subjects into two groups. She took the lyrics and gave one group and said, these lyrics came from a rap song. Other groups, exact same lyrics, these came from a country song, and she measured their responses, and what she found is that the group that believed that it was a rap song found them far more threatening and in need of regulation than the exact same lyrics that were represented as country. That was in 1999. You might think, okay, now that rap has become this juggernaut, it's so mainstream, maybe our knowledge of it, everybody raised their hands, so now we have a better understanding. Well, researchers in 2016 replicated that experiment, and they got the exact same findings. And in addition, that people who believed that they were rap lyrics also took them far more literally. And that's at the crux of this as well.
So I know this has not been done, and this is just a random idea in my head. What if this study was done where we took rap lyrics and said that that was Iggy Azalea's song, and then took those same lyrics and said who was the song it actually was? Just given your experience, and this is completely opinion, how do you think that that would happen?
You know, there actually has been some research that tries to figure out whether it's the genre, the race of the artist, and it doesn't come back that clear, but it's pretty obvious to me that people would have a much different response to the same lyrics, even if they were represented as rap, if they came from Iggy Azalea versus Killer Mike or Killer Mac.
What do you think it would look like if some of those people on that jury panel looked like you?
I think it would definitely been different. And to add to the point, for those who don't know, the jury that convicted me was all white, predominantly over 40. So in a conservative area, in one of the most conservative areas in this state. So I do believe that there was prejudices, because I'm a person who, part of me feels that not everyone is racist in the world, but everyone is prejudiced, because everyone have their biases, they prejudge, right? So what the prosecutor managed to do was, I had one song called Murder, Murder, Kill, Kill that I recorded with Mystical, right? And then I had another song called Shell Shock. So the chorus of Murder, Murder, Kill, Kill, which by the way was just a tribute to a military cadence that I heard as a child. Murder, 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 kill, kill. So I had, I was always into war movies, military stuff like that because of my pops. He's a Vietnam veteran. So that was part of where that came from. The other song was called Shell Shock when I made a reference to my pops. And I said in the song, he gave me the name, he gave me the game, and if you F with me, he'll put a bullet in your brain. So what they did was they said to the jury, this young man raps, murder, murder, kill, kill. If you F with me, I would put a bullet in your brain. I said, I did not say that on the song. Those were two different songs that he spliced together. I think that had the jury been black, it wouldn't have guaranteed me any particular outcome, but I think that they definitely would have looked at me differently because I look like one of their sons, right? And so there was one black juror to choose from in the whole jury pool. And during the voir dire, they asked her one question. Are you familiar with Master P and No Limit? And when she said yes, they backstriked her and got her out of there. Simply because she said she was familiar with Master P. Now, what were they trying to insinuate? That because she was familiar with his music, she would automatically say that I'm guilty? Who knows what the outcome would have been? There was a professor that they asked, when they were asking the questions during the voir dire, they was asking like, how do you feel about convicting someone of a crime that would send them to prison for the rest of their life? And he said, and I quote, he was a professor, I think, from Tulane or UNO, but he was sitting there reading a book. Big white guy. He said, for me to convict someone of a crime that would send them to prison for the rest of their life, you would have to prove to me beyond reasonable doubt that they actually committed this crime. Y'all know that they got rid of him. They didn't want anyone that did any independent thinking. They wanted the type of people that they asked, how do you rate the police? And one woman was like, I think they're doing just a fine job. And I mean, hell, if he's here, then he must have done something. She's perfect. And she was perfect. That's what they wanted.
But before we start the Q&A, I wanted to do this to begin. Yeah, well, not on this panel. I wanted to do this before we began, and I want to just take a second before we start the Q&A, just have a moment of silence for takeoff. Else needs to hear today, tell them. So thank you so much, guys, for being in conversation with me. I enjoyed our discussion. And guys, give it up for our panelists.